Nashville, Tennessee. And I tell people we do everything outside except cut grass at the moment. So we don't do turf maintenance, but we are slowly getting into turf maintenance. We got a few clients that said they couldn't find anybody that met their expectations. So we have 2 clients that we do push mow their grass. They want it to be push mowed, and no one would push mow their yard. We got a team of 12, not including myself. Got 2 designers on staff, project manager, just hired a new production manager who starts next month. And then the rest are kind of our production team. We got a hardscape team, and then we got a softscape team. So pavers, stone, and then we got, of course, softscape being plants and your everyday. Sub out a lot of work. We sub out our irrigation. Would like to start doing irrigation in-house, but just finding manpower is a challenge. So that's a quick 10,000 foot view of landscape solutions in Nashville, Tennessee.
You guys are busy. That's awesome. So I got a lot of questions going on right now. So how'd you start your business? You mentioned 12 years. It's been 12 years that you've been running your business?
So yeah, 12 years. Kind of started out of necessity. It's interesting how we started. So like I said, I work for a developer and love the small scale stuff, but it happened sooner than I expected. The recession hit in the United States in 2008-ish, 2009. And so kind of started this as a temporary, side hustle, if you will. And I was kind of looking at other landscape architecture firms in that time that did residential work. No one was hiring. And so I was like, well, I can ride this out for, a couple of years. And a friend of mine from Mississippi State also got let go by the same time. And so he and I kind of teamed up, just 2 dudes in a wheelbarrow in the back of my truck, started just working for little old ladies, cleaning up their properties, planting some plants and doing what it would, take to pay the bills basically. And
how'd you get work? You were just door-to-door knocking?
Word of mouth, and offering good customer service after that, but we got one good client who was actually a family friend, and she started telling her friends, and they told their friends. And then we're like, well, maybe we should try and do this for the long run. And started hiring people. And I guess 3 years ago or so, 4 years ago in March, bought out my business partner. He is now in hydroponics. He's growing leafy greens indoors. He's got 2 greenhouses. So he and I are operating as kind of a temporary job with 2 dudes. And my goal, and I'm still working on it, is growing it into a company and making this where you can have a career and have a family. We're a family first atmosphere. Last year really got a lot of good people, and it's taken off like fire last year with the workload we've had. Is probably last year in COVID is probably one of our best years, which is, tough to say out loud because a lot of people in different situations.
You think that's because a lot of people are just stuck at home and they wanted to redesign their yard, or?
I think so. A lot of people are stuck at home doing Zoom and Google Meet all day and not going on vacation, have extra money to spend. We saw it in 2009 when we started our company, a job at that time. Even though it was a recession, a lot of people were still calling us to work in their backyard, because they weren't going on vacation, but they were still wanted to hang out around the house. The budgets then weren't as big because of the recession, and now, the budgets are 2, 3 times, 4 times more.
Gotcha. So you started, obviously you have a history with the design and stuff, and you started the side gig just going door to door. Was it your plan all the time to kind of get into designs only, or that just took off with the referrals, or how'd you go about scaling up what you were doing?
So we were first doing, believe it or not, maintenance. And I dragged my feet. I didn't want to do maintenance. Like, look, man, we don't need to do maintenance. We need to focus on design, what we went to school for. So a lot less cost. We had a computer, we had AutoCAD is what we used at the time. And then the development company I was working for, I was doing residential design and then kind of big commercial design. So I kind of knew the plants that were available in Nashville area. And so we started focusing on design. We got one customer. We got that one customer on design. She told her friend, then she told her friend. And so, put away the lawnmower pretty quickly, traded it for shovels and a mini skid steer. But the intent for me all along was, yes, to do more design build and try and sell our design services. Kind of what separates us from the other guys is our plant selection and knowledge. And we also focus on native plant material here in the Nashville area and, plant material that brings back ecology that might have been not in this area because of development and stuff like that. So, pollinators and insects and birds, and, that we have certified wildlife habitats that we try and push. And so that's kind of what niche that carved us out and separated us from the competition.
How long do you think it took you to find that before, like I know in the beginning you're just trying to get going, but how long do you think until it was, you could kind of cancel, so to speak, your maintenance and really start focusing on what you wanted to do?
We were fortunate to get some good customers right out the bat. So probably a good 6-7 months into it. And like you mentioned for your previous question, design, I was doing some side hustling design work for some other people. And I would do, an hour design, take me, 15 minutes, but I'm making more hour than I was, on a mower. So I was trying to go after those higher end clients that wanted to pay for our design services. And I saw a need by doing contract work for other design build companies in Nashville.
And these were, so like your design work, is this through contacts that you knew just from back in when you're in university, or like where'd you get these contacts to begin with?
So a lot of hustling, but then, a lot of contacts. So I reached out, when I was in between jobs, basically, other landscape architecture firms saying, hey, do y'all need any side work? I know y'all are letting off a lot of people, but I can do contract work. And then reached out to some design build companies that didn't have designers. They called themselves design build, but they didn't have designers on staff, which I thought was kind of funny. So that's how I got in with two other contractors pretty quickly, that they advertised as design build, and they did not even have designers on staff. They were kind of doing it themselves, doing some sketches and stuff like that. So a lot of hustling, a lot of guerrilla marketing of myself.
Gotcha. You do a lot of cold calling stuff too, just calling up other contractors in your area.
Yeah, I called. I kind of went through at that time. Google was Google, and you had Yahoo, and so Google was obviously Google, but it was big. So every search engine I went through and kind of found all the landscape install companies out there, and just blew them up, emailed them, called them, showed up at their doors. A couple went to their offices and knocked on their doors. So,
gotcha, makes sense. That's awesome. So, and now you haven't been doing the maintenance, but you're looking to get back into it, or you're kind of starting to do that again, or what's the psychology behind that, or the reasoning?
We're still on the fence. There's a lot of opportunity in Nashville because clients say, hey, so we do what we call our organic garden maintenance, where when we do an install, we sell a maintenance package to take care of their plants and their beds and their bedding plants and, prune and everything. And we amortize that over 12 months. And a lot of our clients are saying, why don't y'all do turf maintenance? Why don't y'all do turf maintenance? And so one, I just never had the manpower to do it, or the management to do it. So, this new hire we're having come on, this production manager, hopefully that's going to open up some opportunities where either he can manage or I can manage, that maintenance arm. And the maintenance thing is that we're going after the enhancements. It's kind of like advertising that if we're at Miss House, the neighbor across the street might see us and say, hey, can y'all also install yada, yada, yada in my backyard, So it's more of the going after the enhancements, if you will, and going after the big projects. But if we do the maintenance, like I said, we're doing it kind of slow and kind of a white glove service. We're going after those clients that want to pay more money, that are willing to have a 12-month contract, not just, I don't know how, is for y'all economics, but not a cheap cut, not a $20 to $35 cut down here. So those higher end, the $50, $60 cuts, every single time.
Gotcha. Get them on a little bit more, especially if you're doing a lot of their garden bed stuff. Get them on whole yard care.
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of guys, are mow, blow, and go, what we call in the States, where all they want to do is just mow and go on to the next one. And so we're a little bit more detailed. And there's a need for that here in Nashville now. You got people that actually want to pay for a higher premium service. As previously, a couple years past, I don't know, these clients just didn't exist on the caliber they do now.
On the high end scale. Well, you got a lot of, there's a lot of wealthy people in Nashville, right? Or I guess just outside in your suburbs.
Yeah, it's very affluent, and it's crazy. So suburbs and then the Nashville proper. And it's crazy how many people are moving here from other states right now, like California and Chicago. So there's people from California and Chicago that have a higher home, opportunity, like where they move from, I don't know what y'all's home prices are, but, they can almost buy double the house here in Nashville they had in California. And so we've had so many of those clients come to us that want to have a nicer yard. But yeah, it's crazy in Nashville. Like you can't even buy a house right now because there's not enough. There's a shortage of housing right now in Nashville, which is a great problem when you're a contractor.
I was gonna say it's good for you guys. We're kind of, I'd say, we're from Winnipeg, so we're right in the middle. You got me now? There we go. Being from Winnipeg, I'd say we're kind of similar in terms of like we're center of the country. Housing prices here are below average normally, and so when someone say like from BC moves over from the coast, it's kind of similar situation as what you got going on there now, where their houses are 2, 3, 4 times what they are here, and money's not really an object when everything here seems like a bargain, right? So I can definitely relate. I want to go back a little bit. How did you go from, because everyone kind of starts off, right? It's like the American dream. You start off your own business, 2 guys in a wheelbarrow or 2 guys in a lawnmower. But how did you go from having that to, you said you got 12 plus employees, now you're still hiring. So when did you make that transition? Like how long down the road was it before you started, increasing your staff?
So it really started, when I bought out my business partner, which is, like I said, 4 years ago in March. A lot of opportunities opened up. Those people that I had gone to and knocked on their doors asking for design work now wanted us to install their design work. They were, designing. A lot of landscape architects that I reached out to. And so first thing I did was make sure I get my contractor's license. So I set for my contractor's license, and that opened up so many opportunities. So I was able to do work with builders, and then we act like we're the lead GC, for the outdoors, if you will. And then that allowed me to work with more landscape architects. And then, potential clients started seeing that we're on these bigger jobs because we had our license now. Reputation started kind of following us around that we do good work. We provide good customer service, good communication. To me, the number one rule for our whole team is communication. And so we do what we say, as simple as it is, we kind of do what we say, and that's gone a long way.
Gotcha. What would you say, coming back or kind of playing off of the hiring of the talent, who'd you say was your most pivotal role that you hired out?
Probably, one of our landscape designers, Amy, is fantastic. And she's kind of been with me since I bought out my business partner. She's also kind of accountability partner. And so that took off a lot of freedom from me where she was doing some of the designs that I was doing. And that allowed me to kind of go out and start chasing, those projects and knocking on doors again and making those connections with other landscape architects. Cause, we are design build, but we work with 4 other landscape architects installing their jobs because they're just straight up designers. They're not design build. And even though sometimes a conflict of interest, they still throw us work because, there's enough design out there for everybody in Nashville. But yeah, hiring that designer was my first probably.
Do you think it was more of just that position that was a game changer, or do you think it was the person that you hired, Amy, you had mentioned there? Do you think she played the role more than the position that she filled?
It was the person for sure. Because, anybody's replaceable, they say, but I don't know if Amy's replaceable. She's fantastic. She only works part-time, but she does more work half a week than I do in a full week. So
probably because she's not dealing with a bunch of distractions of running a business, exactly. Right?
Exactly right. Yeah. She shuts down her phone and just gets to work. And then, at the end of her day, she turns back on, her phone and, she's very efficient with her time.
I can relate. I know that all too well. I'm distractions all the time coming in, right? And it's kind of hard to focus in on one thing when you got to kind of, fire away or make your decisions quickly because you got a whole new batch coming in all the time. So
constant.
Yeah, exactly. So you're at 12 people, you're looking to hire now. You said production. And what's their plan? Like they're going to work more on the maintenance, or is it just production overall with your hardscape, softscape projects? Or
so there's last summer I hired a project manager / estimator.
Yeah.
And I have overloaded him. I have him doing, 2 jobs for one person. So hiring this production manager is hopefully going to allow us, he and I, to focus more on just one task or one, he's going to be able to go do project management and go check on the guys on a daily basis. I'm going to be able to do more estimating. And the production manager is going to be in charge of our scheduling, ordering materials. He'll do some client interaction. I'm kind of calling him my firefighter, so that when the customer calls, he can either go meet with them, or he can dispatch the project manager to go meet with them. But trying to take some of those calls off of my plate that somebody else can handle.
Gotcha. An extra barrier, so to speak. So everyone has someone else to contact instead of you.
Exactly right. Yep. Kind of a goal, if you will, or barrier. Yep.
Gotcha. And so that's the next step for you, where, what did I say? Like in production then, like with your maintenance crews, how do you structure your jobs? Like they're on the same job all the time, or do you still have just 2 crews through your 12 staff, or are they everywhere?
So the way we kind of work out as far as the crews go, like I said, we have the softscape crew and the hardscape crew. And then our softscape crew currently right now does some of the maintenance, which again, we only have two customers as far as mowing goes or turf management goes. But every 2 weeks, those softscape guys have to turn in to go, take care of Miss Smith's shrubs by pruning or weeding or whatever. So it'd be nice to bring in a flex crew, if you will, a 2 or 3 man team that can do nothing but maintenance until we grow it. And then they'll be full-time, maintenance, but they'll help on the softscape installs when they can. And that's kind of the thing, the production manager, like I'm at capacity, my project manager's at capacity. We can't grow the business without hiring somebody else. That's kind of hiring this production manager is going to free us all up to grow the business. And this is a big hire, it's kind of, he's taking some off my plate and then, taking off the project manager's plate as well. But I think it's a necessity for us to grow and to scale up.
How many projects do you usually have on the go, like during the week? You got 3, 4, 5, 10? How many are you doing a week?
Anywhere between 5 and 6. So we also act a little bit larger than we are. We subcontract out a lot of stuff as far as carpentry goes, like decks and porches. Again, our irrigation we sub out. Last year I made a goal to bring in more of the hardscape. So now we're doing our paper patios, our walls. We were still doing them, in capacity, but we're taking on almost all of our hardscape work now. We will have anywhere between 8 to 10 jobs going at a time. So,
and these are all custom one-off jobs, right? They're not recurring.
Yep. Gotcha. All get out there and hustle new customers, basically.
I could see where your scheduling nightmare is. Speaking from we'd still do projects, but not that many projects at a time. And maintenance is much easier to schedule because
exactly.
you can have hundreds of jobs, but they're recurring. And really the only thing that affects the schedule I guess there's 3 factors that would affect the schedule. You'd have weather, which is every outdoor construction work or maintenance, doesn't matter who you are. If you're outdoors, obviously weather is going to play a role. And then the other factors would be equipment and personnel. But right. Scheduling otherwise is pretty rinse and repeat for the maintenance. Yeah. So, I can see where you logistically are struggling to keep 8, 12 jobs on a go at the same time. Yeah, that's our
hardest thing. Exactly what you said is scheduling and getting job folders produced for the guys and making sure they have the right materials, the right plants, the right delivery time. So this production manager, he's going to be in charge of getting those jobs set up a week or 2 in advance, procuring those materials a month in advance, So he's going to be a huge asset to helping us run a little bit more efficient.
How long have you been looking for this position? Or you have someone in mind already?
We were kind of, we have an organizational chart, that through BTA is one of the big things they push, and we were kind of filling the voids, what's missing. And that production manager was one, and a friend of mine, I guess a little bit before Christmas, maybe like November-ish, I think, reached out to me, and he used to be in the landscape business for 15 years and got out of it. He said, let's go grab lunch. And so I went and had lunch with him and said, man, you need to come work for us. I'm not sure what we're looking for, but you'd be a good addition to the team. He's like, I don't know, kind of, I've been in landscape for a while. Anyway, he and I had a conversation for 6 months off and on, and I finally got him to sign off.
You reeled him in.
Reeled him in slowly but surely, yeah. So
that's, sometimes key hires like that. We had our operator, same thing, right? A kind of year and a half in the making, and, sometimes opportunities present themselves way down the road, right? but that's
Yeah.
awesome. So he's already started. You started
He
onboarding.
starts, he wanted to leave on good terms with the current company he's working with, and he starts on May 3rd. Technically, is May 1st, but I think it's a Saturday or Sunday. So he starts May 3rd. He was going to start in June. I was like, man, I need you to come on sooner. So super excited. He actually came from a maintenance background. They do installs as well. So, when we do get to that maintenance side of things, he understands scheduling, exactly what you said, rinse and repeat, if you will. He was expediting 4 or 5 crews of, 2 and 3 man crews for 15 years. And he just got out of that grind. And we're a little bit different because we focus on on installs and design. And so he's kind of, it's not monotonous, if you will, on maintenance, but he knows he's going to have to help us kind of grow the maintenance side of things too. So
that's kind of hiring to your weakness, I would say then, right?
100%. That's exactly, like I mentioned, previously, looking at BTA, where are we weak? What's slowing us down? Why are we struggling? And we made a list, of, there's a couple of positions we needed, but he's kind of the first position that we got to get filled before we can kind of grow and scale up. Like, we know we need another designer. We need another install team for the softscape. But we got to get him in and get things kind of moving, smoothed out a little bit better.
So how do you determine, you mentioned the org chart. Obviously you have a bunch of voids. I think every small business has a bunch of voids. How do you determine when or who to hire next? What's your process look like?
So we did start the org chart, and there's we spent months on it, kind of getting it refined. And then we kind of see the weaknesses within the company. What's slowing us down? What's the breaking point right now? And we were missing details with customers. And part of that is because, like I said before, we were so busy. I'm overloading my team. And so I saw that need, kind of what they needed to take off their plate, basically. And that's what I kind of listed out. How can I help my team be more efficient, be more effective? And ultimately, our goal is to provide the best customer service. You hear everybody say that. We had an awesome kind of spring kickoff this week. And I said, our number one goal should be, when you leave this job site, did I provide the best customer service I could? And if this is my house, would I be happy with this customer service? And we're not doing that right now. So I had to go kind of back to our roots. And like I said, scratch my head. And what we're missing is that production guy that's keeping us in line, making sure that we're tracking the right jobs, making sure we have job folders set up, make sure we have our materials on job sites. That's going to allow my project manager to focus on that micro level. Here's your job planner. We've already got the material set up for you. Now go run that job and hopefully not have the hiccups and headaches. When the project manager's jumping around from 6 different jobs, 7 different jobs, and he's ordering material, and he's dealing with, Miss Homeowner saying she's mad because our guys planted the tree, 2 inches away from where it was supposed to be planted. He can't put out all those fires in one day. So, but yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, I can't remember mentioning this or not, but when I did the org chart, I wrote out, firefighter was really what I was looking for. I had honest conversations with this hire we're making. I said, look, man, here's your job description, if you will, but it's a moving target. There's going to be stuff that's not on that job description, in that job agreement, that you got to kind of pivot and adjust to. So, finding that right person too, I think, again, he hasn't started yet, but that's been something I've been working on for a while. Even though I didn't know I was going to hire this position, I knew this is kind of the person I needed, for quite some time.
So is it a position now, like, obviously there's a budget attached to whoever you hire. Like, are you hiring them before you have the budget, or how's that look financially?
No, we definitely, reached out to, we have an accountant firm we work with. We reached out to the accountant firm and said, can we afford this hire? And she said, are you willing to give up some revenue on your end? And would you be happier at the end of the day if you didn't have to manage so much? And I said, I would be happier. My team would be happier. So we definitely looked if we could afford it, And another thing that kind of picks it up, it's kind of cool. We charge $2, I think it's $3 more an hour on our jobs, and we'll pay for this position. So just add $3 an hour. Yeah.
Gotcha. And so how do you bid? You bid your jobs based on hourly, or what's it look like for your quote process?
So we use LMN, representing all the Canadian companies, BTA and LMN. And we do it from the ground up, is what I tell people. So we have your bed prep, which is our demo and tilling, and we do that per material, and we mark up a material with hours, and then we do our plant material, we mark that up, and then we do the installation of plant material, and We mark up our labor, of course, and then of course you have mulch and site cleanup. So um, it's not cost plus per se, but it's,
You have like a pricing matrix kind of thing where one unit of A or one unit of X, and you just punch it in and then it spits out the number at the end kind of thing.
Exactly. With our markup on it. Yep. And then we use production rates from LMN that we have created of how long it takes to plant a 1 gallon shrub or a 3-inch tree, or how long it takes us to spread mulch,
How'd you get those numbers? Like your production rate numbers, you did that just through experience, or did you actually get your guys in the crew, time them? How'd you determine those numbers?
So a little bit of both experience, and then we timed them incognito. So we use, it was T-Sheets to track our time, which is now QuickBooks time. And I had the guys, which Element Time does this too, but we said, okay, guys, track how long it takes you to till Miss Sally's yard. Track how long it takes you to plant Miss Sally's yard. And it's not, wasn't perfect, but it gave me a good range. And now with this production manager we have coming on site, the project manager is going to actually go track the guys a little bit more detailed. And one of the project managers is make sure we're hitting our numbers. So my role as the owner, and then you have the production manager, and then you have our project manager. The three of us are working to make sure that all the guys are hitting their hours and that our builds actually reflect our estimates. So there's going to be some improvement process, I know already, because we've kind of missed our numbers on a few jobs this year of underestimating, not enough time on the job site. So
that's always the case, right? You're always underestimating, never over.
Never over, yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, I think we're always improving our estimating, and then we did a training session last week, and we called it a training session. We were showing the guys who was the hardscape team, and we had them, do a mock patio on somebody's yard. We just did a simple square, and we timed them for excavation. We're putting in the gravel, putting the pavers in, and we called it a training session, but it was for them, but it was also that we were timing them. They didn't know we were timing them. So
that's how you get your production rates. So obviously it's trial and error, right? You're never going to.
Exactly.
You don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's called an estimate, it's not called an accurate for a reason. So a little bit of give and take there.
There you go. I was just curious. So what's your schedule look like? Personal life to business? Like, is it balanced? Or is it look like you're doing 100 hours a week, or how does that look comparative before to now?
I'm in the business. Unfortunately, I wish my work-life balance was a little bit better. I heard somebody say once, there is no such thing as work-life balance. You just got to grind through it. And I feel like that's what I'm doing right now. And I'll be honest, I'm tired. We're in our busiest season. I'm up at 4:30 at my computer getting the guys going. I'll wrap up between 5 and 5:30, have some dinner, hang out with the family, and I'll get back and fill out some emails about 8:30. It's long days, it's the grind, but hopefully hiring these people is going to take some of that off my plate a little bit. I'm always trying to learn stuff. I'm listening to the 4-Hour Work Week, older book. This is, and I've read it once before, but it's been really good to kind of refresh my memory on some of those things. But yeah, I'm working too much.
Has it kind of evened out a little bit since when you started, or do you find yourself working more now?
It ebbs and flows, like I'm at a growing point right now. So I'm definitely busier than I was. I get to a comfortable place, but a glutton for punishment. I wanted to see this thing get a little bit bigger as far as the clientele we're working with and going after higher clients. And that's where we are right now. We're in a growing stage to go after those higher end clients and create a brand in Nashville, Tennessee, that we are, a design build company, and we can design just as good as these landscape architecture firms that they're paying a lot of money for. But we're seasonal too, of course. So we have those times that we are slow. Even though we don't have, depending on where you are in Canada, we don't have shutdown in the winter, but we still slow down in the winter for sure,
What's your season look like, winter season?
Mine froze on my end.
Mine froze. I can hear you. What's your season look like for winter? Like, are you guys still doing installs in the winter, or is it just kind of, you guys shut down for a couple of weeks over holidays, or?
So I don't know how much you can hear me. You kind of froze your back. As far as winter goes, in Nashville, we don't really get a lot of snowfalls, but we shut down because it's cold and the ground's frozen. But y'all will laugh. It's not frozen like y'all. We'll shut down maybe a week at a time just because it is so cold. But we just in general, we get a rainy season, you know, from like January, February, that kind of, and that's been between snow mix and rain mix, that kind of just affects us pretty hardcore.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, we have snow, right? We got winter season. I think we have two distinct seasons, and then the transition period kind of sucks for us. Those months in between.
I froze again.
Where, we have an internet problems there, Dennis? What's going on?
Uh-oh. Someone else is chiming in. Am I here? You got me?
I got you. Yeah, the audio has been good. I don't know what's going on with the video. You got me, Cliff?
Yeah, I got you. It'll freeze for a while.
Technology.
It's good when it works.
It doesn't. Maybe it's the stream. I'm not sure with the internet. We got 1 gig here, but I don't know what's going on.
Well, I'll say this. My little girl got home from school, so I'm sure she's out there watching YouTube right now, you know? So.
Yeah, we'll work through it. So do you find that it's still work, or do you is your business at a point where it's more enjoyable? What's kind of your thoughts on that?
It's enjoyable, you know, it's still work, but I like the challenge, you know. I think it keeps you on your toes, you know, to kind of adapt and make those decisions. But I love the entrepreneur side of things. Like, I love the challenge of how are we going to meet this client's needs and then also meet my employees' needs, you know. So find that balance, you know. I like the game, if you will. I appreciate the challenge.
Did you always have that entrepreneurial spirit, or was it kind of situations made you start your own thing, and that's kind of what you had mentioned earlier? But did you always plan to start your own business somewhere down the road, or did it just kind of happen?
A little bit of both. I didn't know I had an entrepreneur, you know, in me. But looking back, like in college, I was in charge of doing some booking bands for the university as a student, and we were running this outdoor festival. And then I did that kind of, you know, my junior year, kind of like your 4th or 5th year of college, if you will, if you're in landscape architecture. Then I was like, why don't I start a business and I can charge the university to book these bands? So I started a business doing that when I was in college, and, you know, just doing that as a hobby. But I really liked the business side of things. Graduated, you know, all my career of doing landscape, and this kind of just happened out of, you know, again, necessity to kind of keep our families fed during the recession. But I do think there was a little bit inside me that wanted to have my own company down the road, and it just happened sooner than later.
The decision was made for you.
It was made for me, yeah. Yeah.
And no looking back. Could you ever go back to a job?
You know, some days I could. Definitely could some days. When, you know, but I don't think I could. I love the flexibility. I love the challenge. I love that I get to interact with clients, you know, and seeing your fruits of your labor, you know, not just putting that tree in the ground or, you know, but seeing growth within your company is exciting, and seeing the staff behind you, you know, like, it's not my company, you know, it's a team effort. I wouldn't be here without my staff, and hiring the right people and good people. I've made some bad mistakes. I've had some terrible hires, you know, but you learn from your experience, you know. Experience is your best teacher. And right now, no, I couldn't go back to working for somebody else, even though, again, I have those days I'm like, holy cuss word, why am I doing this? The next week, I'm like, this is why I do this.
Yeah, I feel you. I've had those days too where you're like, man, but similar feeling. I don't think I could go back either.
Yeah. I love, you know, you mentioned that work-life balance. I love that I don't have to check out with my boss. And I tell my staff this too. If I want to go to my little girl's soccer practice, I was like, I'm checking out. I'm going to my little girl's soccer practice. I couldn't do that to work for somebody else, you know. I'm going to leave early and go pick up my son from daycare and just hang out with him for the day, you know. I love that flexibility. I don't do it often right now because I'm in the grind. But I know some of my staff members are able to do that. And that's kind of the, you know, what makes us attractive to work at Landscape Solutions is that we want this to be a family oriented And I felt like the place I worked for in the past, they were all about how much can you produce for me, and that's not what it's about, you know.
Gotcha. How do you feel like with obviously having a family, right? They have, I mean, they want your attention too, so they're fighting for your attention. How's that work when you're up at 4:30? You know, how's that work?
So it's a challenge. You gotta set those boundaries. You know, I wake up, you know, between 4:30, and I have on my phone just sitting right beside me at 6:15 a.m. My alarm goes off, and I shut it down, and I go get up my little girl from, you know, get her up, make her breakfast, make my son's breakfast, take him to school, come back home, start over again. Then my alarm goes off again between 4:30 and 5. Don't always shut it down, but by 6, I'm shutting it down, and I go eat dinner with them, you know, hang out with them, watch TV with them. But you got to find that work-life balance, even though it's never balanced. You got to set those boundaries, you know, set an alarm on your phone to turn off work. It'll be here tomorrow, you know, nothing we're doing is life and death. And I learned that the hard way. So.
Gotcha. I'm curious just from my perspective, because I don't have kids. And so when I look at a business owner who has kids, especially a smaller business, where you're very much in the day to day as much as you are on the business development and the vision. So you're kind of doing double or triple duty. So that's always a question of mine, is how you balance your family life, or how do you make that part a priority? Because I just couldn't imagine, you know.
Yeah, you got to be diligent about it. You know, one of the things I have is like no work Sundays. So I work personally on my computer, but I'm not taking any calls from customers. I'm not taking any calls occasionally from my staff. And then same thing for Saturday. People are like, can you meet on Saturday? Nope, I'm sorry. You know, it's just like I set those parameters, and people adapt. You know, if you say yes, they're going to say, well, come to my house on Saturday. And you're like, what the heck? This landscape guy didn't come to my house on Saturday? If they want our services, they'll wait for us. So you've got to set those boundaries for yourself, you know, and that's been huge, you know, that I can separate and take that time to relax. Of course, again, I'm still hustling on Sunday night. I'm getting ready for the week, and, you know, but again, not having to field calls or go meet with Miss Smith or Miss Sally, you know, on that Saturday or Sunday is huge, huge. You got to take a break.
Oh, yeah, it makes sense. I learned that too with, you know, you start off, you're running around picking up money on other people's terms. You're meeting them on Sundays. I can relate. I know what that's like.
Yep. So we've you know, done a lot of good things too about, like you said, collecting money, like putting in parameters like 15-day terms, you know, just having official contracts. You know, that goes a long way. You have official contract that you look like you're a big business, even though you're a small business. And that's what I tell people. We look bigger than we are. And, you know, it's all about branding and creating that image and that perspective to homeowners, you know. So I've worked hard on creating a brand and an image to separate us from the competition.
It goes through too. I like taking a look at your website. Very professional image. It's communication, right? How you communicate yourself. How would you describe your brand, if you're going to describe what your brand represents to your customer?
So again, you know, kind of touched on that niche that we focus on, you know, native. We took out that buzzword sustainable. You know, first we were native and sustainable, but everybody can say sustainable, but that ecology. And again, you hear everybody says customer service. We focus on the customer, but actually delivering on that, you know. And then just simple branding, you know, like our color schemes. We got, you know, color schemes in our logo. People now recognize our logo. Just staying in front of people with our logo on social media. We hired a photographer last year. It took me, you know, 12 years to finally say, I got to get a photographer over here. And, you know, I worked with her to get a package. Hey, I can't afford you. I'm a smaller company. What can you do to help me out? You know, so go to these people. They're small businesses too, you know, say, hey, you're a small business. I'm a small business. Like, how about, you know, I'll tag you on Facebook and Instagram, and I'll write you a good Google review. And that's gone a long way, you know? So, we are still refining our brand, always refining our brand. Like we talked about, we just had to kick it down the road for 2022, but like we're going to kind of massage our colors and stuff so that we are kind of in front of everybody. Just people recognize we changed our colors. I didn't realize that we changed them 2 years ago, and just, you know, popped it in our email signature, and everybody's like, dang, nice logo. Are you also the same company? Yep. So, you know, keep it fresh, if you will.
That's good. People are paying attention if they notice, right?
Yep.
How's that, out of curiosity on my end here, for the photographer, you help them build a package, or how would that look like? Or what's it kind of, they just show up to every job, or you book them for one job, or?
Not every job. So she was, she kind of does this as a side hustle where she takes photos, and I said, hey, I want you to come out and shoot I need to shoot like 4 or 5 projects at one time, but I can't afford them. Can we batch those together? Gotcha. And she's like, well, I've never really done that before. And I was like, look, I'll schedule them to where they're all close together, so you're not driving around, and it worked out, so she took like 4 or 5 shoots for us on different properties, and then I'll do one also there now. And we just did a cultural team event, and she came out there for the day and hung out with us and took photos of us, hanging out, and did team shots and stuff. So she's been great, but my stuff is all about relationships. So, and finding people that want to be treated how you want to be treated. And she treated me with respect, and I treated her with respect, and we both value each other's time. So it's like, I know you're busy, I'm busy. Here's what I'm looking for. Can we work out a deal? Your website says it costs this much, but if I buy 5 packages from you, will you lower the cost? So it worked out.
Awesome. No, that's good. Pictures. I mean, we hired our own in-house videographer for kind of our own stuff, like the podcast here. Right. This is kind of just more of, honestly, a passion project. It is not related to what we're doing in terms of maintenance, but it's been nice with the videos and the pictures and everything, for sure, getting that content to help build. That's probably one of the hardest things about starting out, right? Is you got to go online and get those generic stock footage, stock shots. Yeah. That every website seems to have the same, lawnmower on the grass.
Yep. We had that one. We had that exact same one on our postcards. Went door to door, Yeah.
So it's so common. I see it on other websites. I'm like, oh yeah, stock footage there. But that's one of the things, is I want to make sure we represent what work that we've done. So it's kind of a weird little quirk maybe that I want to make sure that we're only have pictures of our projects. But yeah, good photos. So that's good that you've gone that far. Do you think it's helped with business, having that kind of social proof through the images?
Absolutely. It gave us an opportunity to have these high res images on Instagram. I mean, at least 5 or 6 people reached out to us just by us posting some pool pictures, saying, hey, I want this in my backyard. This looks fantastic. And what's crazy about this photographer we had is that she worked in marketing before, so she understood what homeowners were looking for. And so I was like, hey, I want you to shoot this. I want you to shoot that. And so she kind of coached us. No, this is what the general public's looking for. And so having that photographer that coached me on what to shoot photos of, like any contractor out there, like showing you, look at this awesome patio built. This is look how big our compactor is. She's like, homeowners don't care about how big your compactor is. They don't care how big your skid steer is. They want to see that finished product with 2 chairs and, a couple of beverages sitting beside it.
Sell them on the experience, right?
It's been huge. Yeah. Nothing wrong with showing off your awesome equipment. You worked hard for that.
Contractors love it.
That's not what the homeowner wants to see. And we're not selling to each other. I mean, we are a little bit. We're all dudes, but we're selling to homeowners. And so I had to change my thought process of, I don't care if my compactor's bigger than your compactor, So
that's a separate account.
Yeah.
No, exactly. That's one of the things. Obviously, probably most contractors are on Instagram or whatever, looking at what other people's equipment is and that. But I think you raised a valuable point, which is the customer is looking for that experience that their backyard is going to, or their project, for instance, is going to bring them. And, how much friction is it going to be to get to that? Exactly. Yeah. And know who you're selling to. And my design team's done great at this. We were casting this wide net. Who do you want to work for? That's who you need to be marketing for. And that's what we changed. That's why our website, we changed our website this year, and you can see we're going after that higher end, higher budget client. Has it been like the transition phase? Has it been a long transition phase where you're switching over from these your high end clients? Do you still do some of the smaller projects, or is it like strictly that's all you do now? No, we still do some of the smaller stuff just because I enjoy it. The bigger jobs are a little more complicated, and you have to have what I call your mailbox money. You got to do those little ones to pay the bills sometimes. But we are working toward slowly getting into those bigger jobs. It's a slow process. I mean, I tell, advice people always ask me for is like, it takes time, and unfortunately in this day and age, when you get something off of Amazon or pull up your iPhone and
have a meal delivered to you in, less than 30 minutes. Like, business is a slow process, and you just have to remind yourself that. Like, we're still growing, we're still working on our process. We're still working on our brand. I don't think you kind of ever stop. And that's the part I like, that's what mentioned that challenge, what's going to make us more attractive? What's going to separate me besides that other landscape guy? If I go up and I'm bidding against him on the same patio, why is my patio going to be better than his patio? Selling them on that customer service. But yeah, slow process, not a fast process.
What's your end goal? Or what's your 5-year out goal?
My first end goal was like, I want to get to $1 million in revenue. I didn't realize I got to $1 million in revenue. I was like, what the heck? I hit $1 million in revenue. I missed that. I think they always change. I think I just want to have recognition, but to be humble, I don't care about the recognition. But when people see a landscape solutions job, they know that's a landscape solutions job, and their neighbor might want that same build because of the customer service that we did on that job next door. So just delivering on what we promised and making sure we're still executing that, maintaining that high level of execution.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Cliff, I want to thank you. I'm going to wrap this up. Where can people find you more if they want to find you online?
So the best spot would be our website, which is landscapetn.com. TN is in Tennessee. We're in the United States. We're all the Canadian listeners. You can see our Instagram on there. Our Facebook's on there. If you want to reach out to me directly, you feel free to email me, Cliff, CLIFF, at landscapetn.com. Happy to answer any questions via email, even jump on a call if we connect that way. So, man, I'm all about sharing what I know. I don't know a lot, but everything I do know, I've kind of learned from others. So, do unto others how you have them do to you, and, grow your network is kind of our mantra, if you will.
Absolutely. That's probably how you find that. I'm not really a network type of person. So it's, I don't really consciously go out looking to network. I'm just kind of got my head down working on things. Are you similar to that, or?
Yeah, no, I mean, I make those connections with other, people in our field, and say, how'd you get to where you are, man? What was the process you took? Just like you're doing this podcast, man. So thanks for doing that. I love that you're sharing, different insight from different business owners. And I'm always kind of learning, I think that's what you need to do, is always learning and teach others what you learned. It's not like, why is it gotta be a competition? There's a lot of work out there for everybody,
I don't know if I agree with that completely. I don't necessarily see businesses directly as a competitor, like in terms of if you and me were in the same city competing. Yeah. But like personally, I'm a very competitive person, and behind closed doors, I want to be the best. So definitely a little bit agreeable on you, but not completely the whole way there.
Yeah, no.
So, but I get what you're saying with there's enough work for everyone. There's very much so a lot of work for everyone that you don't have to. I don't look at if someone gets a job that's one job off of my plate, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, I've got friends here that work within the Nashville market that be, hey man, you won the bid on that job. What was your numbers? They might tell me, they might not. But then I've bid against guys and we'll be neck and neck, and we end up doing the job together, which is so strange. You would never think that, So they end up subbing out a piece of me, or I sub out a piece of them. So
that's cool to hear that it's common. We do the same thing here.
Yeah. We'll
have jobs. I'll talk to contractors that, hey, we got this job. What would you price it at? Or I'm running into this problem. What do you think we should charge for this? Yeah. So it's good bouncing off. I like that part of it for sure, working with people. But at the end of the day, I want to beat them still.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem always winning, I still like to win too. But
absolutely. All right, Cliff. Well, it's been a blast. I hope to have you on again. You take care.
For sure. Let me know. Enjoyed it.
All right.
Good to see you.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon.